Hey everybody, welcome to some Houston. We have a problem. My internet seems to be acting weird, so let me see if it totally didn't do anything. One sec, try that again. There, haha. Yeah. My internet is absolutely terrible right now. I did go out earlier. It just died for like an hour and a half, and so I don't have any of the comments from before 6:06 p.m. loaded. They just vanished into thin air. So that's what we got. So if I start herking and jumping around and acting so that you cannot see or hear me, I'm sorry. Blame Comcast. It is their fault. So everything took a big giant dump today, didn't it? And crypto at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific took a big dump as well, like coordinated across the board. Yeah, the Chinese bond market's looking real bad. Evergrande, they are trying to postpone a bunch of debt that's due on Friday and make it due in June or July. They won't be able to pay that either, so it's kind of a hopeless task. But they're hoping to like have a forbearance or whatever. But the market's just right across the board because news is not looking good. Omicron is knocking out flights and schools and businesses. Everyone's getting sick. We're at 1 million infections a day in the US. Hospitals are full. The Chinese bonds are making it so all these big institutions and banks are having to write off a whole bunch of assets that they had previously that they're using for as collateral in plays, and they can't anymore. The market is trembling. They're gonna have to raise interest rates soon. We had another insanely high inflation month in December. We've got possible civil war breaking out in Kazakhstan, which is I think going to make Russia probably abandon their plans on Ukraine right now and go quell whatever's happening in Kazakhstan. A whole bunch of oil, Russian oil's in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's responsible for 42% of all uranium production on planet Earth. And there's a giant cartel that has formed for uranium at the moment. They've consolidated all the uranium manufacturers. They've sort of gobbled them all up, and now they control how much uranium gets released to users, and the price is just going right back up. So the prices are going to really spike on uranium, I think, if Kazakhstan continues to spin out of control. It seemed like there was some sort of fuel crisis going on in Kazakhstan. The people got upset, and it just spilled over into other aspects. There's earlier today for us, the evening for Kazakhstan, there were firefights in the street, people overtaking military convoys and disarming them. Lots of weird things going on. So we may see, if the economy takes a dump and metal prices would go up anyways, we might see uranium just go to silly levels as a result. Okay, Iggy Limon, super chats. How does No Labs CGM differ from the ones already out? Approved Dexcom 6 CGM, Dexcom Freestyle, Libra, Abbott, so on. These are blood glucose monitoring systems. A lot of the ones out there involve like inserting a device into the human body. So these are invasive devices. They're just like an insulin pump or something else that gets plugged into the body. They're plugged in like into their arm with this little plastic patch or whatever, and you read it with your phone. These are invasive monitoring devices for measuring blood glucose levels. The No Labs one is like a Fitbit bracelet. It's like having a watch band around your wrist. It reads the blood glucose levels using a patented radio wave technology, and is non-invasive, so you don't have to like make any holes in your body or do any finger pricks or have a hole punched in you in this little plastic pad there. So that's the big difference for the No Labs technology versus these other ones that are out there. And compared to having like prick your finger every day, if you're diabetic, having one of those things in you seems like way better. Just make one hole, leave it there, and we're cool. The No Labs one, if they can get it approved, hopefully soon, will remove, you know, making holes in your body at all times, unless you're having to update, you know, your insulin shots. No more finger pricks, no more plastic things screwed into your arm. And that's the big difference. Meow meow, turn off your intro. I did. Oh, I remember turning off my intro without being asked that time. Nice. I didn't even realize I did it. Things are improving. You guys are never going to get a second intro again. Also, you must listen to the album Honeymoon by Lana Del Rey. It's unbelievable. Okay. Is that a new album? I have no idea. I've heard her other albums. I don't remember the names of any of them, though. But, all right. Noted. Chakiseki. On the eve of the anniversary of a violent insurrection that almost destroyed our government and nearly installed a bloated, bronzed buffoon, howdy. Oh, yeah. That's tomorrow, isn't it? 1 year since a bunch of guys in Cabela gear decided to storm the Capitol and go blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's the date. Look at the date right here. It's 5th, 6th tomorrow. All right. So, there we go. 1 year from that hallowed date of a bunch of dorks. I saw a tweet today that shows it was a picture of the guys. They're climbing the limestone wall that leads to like the stairway that goes up to the Capitol, and they're all climbing up the thing, and it just says, "This is real meth energy." It's like, man, that is so accurate. Okay. So anyone who sent a message in here before 6:06 p.m., I cannot see it. It is gone. Sorry, because my internet went out and it's just updating. I had to reset everything in here. But Anna Rulnick, oh no, your family's got COVID now. Man, everybody's getting this one. This is just, I mean, we're looking at 1 million or more people a day, a doubling rate of 2.5 days on infections. This is basically what COVID would have been 2 years ago, because it's smaller, because it gets through the eye membrane better. I have no idea. But it seems to be everywhere at the moment. Just from Dax, is it true that GME still has 100 million of share buybacks and RNC is allowed to buy up to 6 million more shares? Buy the dip. I've been reading that. I haven't seen the exact paperwork. I assume that they would have filed saying they reserve the right to do 100 million in share buybacks, which is essentially what, like 75 million shares at this price, somewhere around there. That's a big day's volume. And my guess is if they were going to do that, they would probably do it at once to drive that volume really high. But yeah, I'll have to look into that more. And RC should be allowed to buy as many shares as he wants, as long as he can afford it. So, I mean, 600 million more shares is like $1 billion. Or 6 million more shares is like $1 billion. So that's a lot. I don't know how much money he has on hand. He made, what, 3.3 billion off of the Chewy sale of Chewy, and he spent a couple $100 million getting his 9 million shares last year, or I guess 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And I don't know how much cash he has left. I know he's invested in some big blue chips, Apple and things like that, but maybe sell those, buy some more GME. I have no idea. Okay. Did I have anything else to talk about today? I don't think I did. I think that's all the tunes I had for you today. So I might as well dive deep into what you guys got for me in the chat here over the next 2-ish hours or so. Okay. Pete Diaz, Sea of Red today, all over. I'm sure we lost a few apes today. I don't know, not much. There was only 600 sell orders across the entirety of Fidelity today. So I don't think too many were jumping ship. It was like 90% buy. People are like, ooh, a dip. They're consolidating, man. They're buying more. When we see it at 130, we haven't seen it at 130 in 10 months. What, since April? 110, I think, was the lowest it got then. It hasn't been that low in so long. So it is buy the dip time. Piet Diaz, the Fed Minute Report came out for the meeting they had in December, and it was ugly. They doubled their balance sheet, which means tapering is on the horizon sooner than we thought. Yeah, tapering. I would have thought tapering would have started sooner. I also would have thought we would have done an interest level hike before Christmas, but everyone wants to drag their feet on that. If we don't raise interest rates soon, we're going to be facing situations like Turkey. Turkey's been refusing to raise interest rates, and the value of the Turkish dollar is just, and their entire economy is suffering as a result. They've had 50%, 75% inflation since then, and they just cut interest rates more because they're like, oh, we need to spur investment, but it's just making the inflation go nuts. So they, at some point, you got to like pause things, and it will stunt growth. It will harm things, but you'd rather stunt growth and have a little baby burp than like watch this bubble grow and explode and crash everything into nothing. The entire point of the Keynesian economic structure we're in is for slow, steady growth over long periods of times without big bubbles and without big dips. And if we get into this realm where we're just riding this roller coaster over and over again, then we're looking like, the 1870s to 1929, where for 10, 15 years we roar, and then we have a catastrophic depression and everyone starves to death. And then 10, 15 years we roar and have a catastrophic depression and everyone starves to death. Our monetary policy is scared to act. But I was just discussing this with my roommate today. Like, it's almost as if the leadership in government is so scared to do the right thing because they're afraid someone's going to go, I didn't like that. And sometimes you just got to do the right thing and, pardon my French, but fuck your feelings. We need to take serious action, and we need to do serious investment in infrastructure, serious investment in regulations. We need to invest seriously in the people of our nation, the United States, and there's a very loud, vocal minority who wants the status quo. And let's face it, the status quo sucks. The status quo sucks in America. Let's subvert this dominant paradigm and crush the status quo under our boot. We need some drastic change. As many problems as China has faced with their bond failings, one area they're absolutely just destroying us is in the investment of infrastructure. And they're doing these mega projects. They're absolutely awesome. And you know who they're doing it with? They're doing it with our money. That's right. China builds a giant floating canal that can move giant ships across mountain ranges. They did it with bonds bought with cash from our savings and checking accounts. Those big institutions and banks that bought all those Chinese bonds, they bought those bonds with your money, with money that could have been used to invest in the United States of America, or in European nations, or in Japan, or in Taiwan, or in the Philippines, or anywhere else in the world. But instead, the people that were offering bonds to do big projects were in China. And then China went, I'm not going to pay them back. And what's the rest of the world doing? They're twiddling their thumbs. Can you imagine if the United States had a bunch of, bonds, just bonds, and we use these bonds to build the most amazing infrastructure in the entire world. All these banks and hedge funds and everyone else was investing in all this work. Like, we're going to build a spaceports, and we're going to build trains, and we're going to build airports and all sorts of, tunnels and whatever. And then the United States government was like, yeah, we're not going to pay those back. Sorry, piss off. The world would have a hissy fit, and the entire economy would collapse along with it. But China can do that. So how come they can do that, but we can't do that, right? It's a very interesting realm that we're in right now. Justin, my head. Share your closest thing to proof that the AMC squeeze wasn't the run from 10 to 70. Stephanie Camerman says she can prove it was using dark pool data. I think because folks weren't selling. I mean, there were some selling, but not enough to cover or to close those positions. The 150 million shares, 200 million shares that traded, most of that I think was still synthetics that were selling. So I don't think that those were closed. Some of the smaller funds may have been able to close out. The ones that had bigger plays, I don't think so. I don't think the market makers were able to close any of that out either. But I'll have to look at our work and see if it was done via dark pools. There's an insane amount of volume that happens in the dark pools, but it could be actual, closing positions. It could be generation of naked shorts. It could be the same share trading back and forth a million times. We don't know because it's in the dark pool, and that's why we should blockchain this stuff. Marvin G, can you help me wrap my head around dark pool trading? Does it eventually appear on the lit market? Love the show. To the moon. No. At most, what you might get out of dark pools is after hours. There maybe some weird report that gets dumped, and it'll show let's say the stock bounced between $100 and $150 on a weird volatile day. So there's a $50 range somewhere in there, and then at 4:35 Eastern time, you'll see a weird bump in after hours that all of a sudden will be like a million shares at 143. And you're like, what the hell? That might be a dark pool reporting, but it's essentially, as far as I can tell, they don't have to do that. They may only report when they want to affect the price after hours. But a lot of times, I don't think they have to report anything. They just hide it. Yeah. Okay. Cameron Mirza, Seattle area assistant police chief suspended for displaying Nazi symbol on office door. Yeah, that was the assistant chief of the Kent Police Department. He had them calling him Nazi names, gave himself a Hitler mustache, and put Obergruppenführer on his office door. And it was basically just acting like an out and proud Sieg Heil Nazi guy. And the punishment was he had to take 2 weeks unpaid leave, but then they allowed him to use his vacation pay. So he got 2 weeks of paid vacation this summer for being an out and proud Nazi. It only just got reported on now in the Seattle Times this week. And all of a sudden, the mayor of Kent is like, I want this guy to resign because he didn't ask for that before. There's an article that came out years ago. Our FBI warning. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, okay. So in 2016 or so, it's one decision. So 2016. So in 2006, the FBI came out with this big report about white supremacists basically just stacking themselves in law enforcement. A lot of KKK, Aryan Nation, dudes like that were filling up police departments and sheriff's departments around the country. And the FBI is like, hey, there's a whole bunch of white supremacists here. We'll probably do something about this. And then 2016, they came out with a report. They're like, hey, we warned you about this 10 years ago, and now it's even worse. And here we are, 6 years later. And, those guys who got in 16 years ago, they're now assistant police chiefs and stuff like that. We've done nothing. We've done nothing about the fact that white supremacists just dominate so many police departments around this country. I wonder if we ever will. Are we ever going to do anything about that? I don't know, but I think it'd probably be a great idea if we did. Just from Dax, I don't have coordinates, but can you show us Point Nemo on Google Earth, the most remote place on Earth? Okay, let's go to Point. I don't know if I've ever looked at Point Nemo. My Google Earth. Point Nemo. Nemo Point? Point Nemo. We'll try Nemo Point. Is it in Alaska? Is this the most remote place in the world? And I don't know. That doesn't look like... Well, maybe it's remote out here. I have no idea. No, that's not the most remote place. It can't be that one. So, Point Nemo. Point Nemo, there's one in Western Australia. There's one in Calabaga. Well, that's Dominican Republic. That's not going to be right. That won't be right. Oh, and my Google Earth is now... Oh, there it goes. I doubt it's going to be that one. Point Nemo, Western Australia. That'd be pretty remote. a nice little beach there, but it got some trails. I don't know which Point Nemo you want me going to there. There's a town right there. So no, that's not it. Not gonna be that one. Now, if you get the coordinates, send them my way. Otherwise, we're just bouncing around here. And some super chats just vanished. Where are we going? Let me see if I can find which ones I missed there. DJ Ammon for life. Do you know where I can find historic options data? Ooh, you might have to subscribe to a service for that. If anyone has access to Bloomberg Terminal, I think they can see that. Otherwise, you might just, I mean, that's expensive. It's $25,000 a year. But if you've got access, if you can buy us, get some sort of subscription service to one of those sites that might have it for you. At most, they usually kind of do, previous couple of months. But I don't know. If anyone knows, pop that in the chat there. Love to see. Meow meow. I'm holding because I want to see Griffin stuffed in a wood chipper. Am I horrible? I mean, you get stuffed into that suit every day. I missed one here. That's Dark Pool 1. Oh, Space Monkey. What's your thoughts on the ETHDD I sent you earlier? The triple halving. Yeah, so they are talking about doing... Well, halving is reducing the rate at which Ethereum is produced, right? So they reduce it by a third, I think is what the triple halving would mean. This is what they've been trying to do by switching to Ethereum 2.0. They want to make it go from proof of work to proof of stake, where right now you've got folks mining, and that mining is verifying transactions and generating more. And now they want to reduce the amount of energy it takes to produce more and just kind of be stuck with what's there, or reduce how much is being made. And this would limit the incoming supply, and they think it will cause the price to go and reduce the gas fees. The gas fees are what's really holding Ethereum back right now. Is, again, like, you want to spend $75 to buy a stick of gum with Ethereum because that's the gas fee? Like, no one wants to do that. And the loop ring layer 2 is showing that they have sort of loophole workarounds that if you've got an internalized network that's using Ethereum, that they can then mint their NFTs without using much gasoline or gas, and it's not gasoline, without using much gas, and make it cheaper. But it would be great if across the board this could be done. It's going to piss off the miners. The miners are the ones that have been like having hissy fits about moving to proof of stake because they won't be making a fortune anymore. But tough shit. Life moves on. But they're saying that Ethereum will go to like 150,000 if that's the case. I think that right now crypto is going to crash really, really hard if we approach MOAS territory. These big funds that are invested in it, they're going to have to sell their stakes to generate liquidity, and that's going to just cause a mass sell-off. And so I think the big canary in the coal mine is watching these crypto coins crash. That's what we're going to be looking for. Oh, just from Dex got me the coordinates here. Thank you. Let's see where we're going. So 48 degrees south, 123 west. So that's South America? Bing. There we go. And shabam. Oh. There's nothing there. That is a pretty remote place, considering that there is nothing there. That is a whole lot of nothing. That is, it's pretty remote. I don't have to point or anything. But you are, how many miles? You are, come on. You are 2,300 miles from South America. 1,600 miles from from Antarctica, 3,000 miles from New Zealand. Is that Hawaii up here? No, it's French Polynesia. 2,000 miles from French Polynesia. Go to the Galapagos. Galapagos can be up here. This can be like Easter Island here. Yeah, so you're thousands of miles away from anyone. It's not many people like look at the you can get to the point you can look at entire half of planet Earth and it is basically ocean. This thing is just blue and gigantic, and from the right angle you can barely see any land. You can see a little bit of the Gulf of California up here, a little bit of Central America, almost none of South America, a little bit of Antarctica, New Zealand, a couple of bits of Micronesia and Melanesia. Barely get Hawaii in there. Look at that. That's crazy. That's just a lot of ocean. It's just so much ocean. Goodness gracious. It boggles my mind that we just like fly across this and ships across it all the time. It's just a big, giant, terrifying marble. It's wild, man. Okay. Who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody else? Okay, that was just in my head. Brian Romero. Lou's saying 3,000 can't because too much investors, not enough money. Lou's saying weird things recently. I just don't pay attention to him. He seems to think the only way payouts happen is through the DTC, DTCC, and subsidiaries. But we know that there's insurance policies, there's the DTCC, there's prime brokers, banks, Federal Reserve, Treasury, all sorts of folks that have to get involved. And there will be bailouts. If MOAS happens, mark my word, there'll be so much in bailouts. And Congress will be very upset about it, but they're going to do it anyway because they know that we can have a credit crunch and have all these banks go under and crash the entire economy. So there's going to be bailouts. Okay, did I miss anybody else? I think I got you guys. Okay, I think we're there. I think we're there. So I can go back to the regular chat here. Okay. Yes, Credit Suisse is shutting down their hedge fund in New York. They're closing their buildings there, laying everybody off, and see you later. As far as I know, they're still holding like $1 billion or more of bags from Archegos, especially for a bunch of options plays Archegos did, and they don't have the money to take care of it, so they've done nothing, and that's kind of where we are with them. That tells me the Archegos was so painful that if they know other hedge funds, family funds, etc., go under, that Credit Suisse is probably hosed. And so they're just covering their bases and trying to consolidate as much as they can right now. I mean, if one family fund worth $30 billion can go under and have this much damage to these guys, what does one hedge fund with $100 billion, $400 billion, $600 billion in margin do to them? I mean, these numbers are insane if we think about this. Remember, these guys can be over-leveraged 30 to 1. So if they're playing with $1 billion in wealth, they've got $30 billion in margin that they're playing with. If they've got $10 billion in assets, they're playing with $300 billion in margin. That's insane. If you had $100, is someone going to lend you $30,000 to go to the casino? Like that's what margin is for these hedge funds, is that they're lending them 30 to 1 to go gamble. And for 30 years it worked great. They could gamble all they wanted because they were basically stealing money from retail investors. And now the retail investors are like, no, I'm not going to sell. All these hedge funds are croaking. They are, tattered pants, ripped shirt, crawling through the desert on dunes, looking for an oasis. And there are no oases to be found. Oasis to be found. And they, and there's so much, there's ridiculous, we're talking trillions upon trillions of dollars in margin is being used to make these plays. And the market is not going up fast enough to justify these plays. If you've got margin grows by 100% year over year, but the market doesn't grow by 100% year over year, there's a whole bunch of money out here that's never going to get paid back. That's just going to vanish. And I am very curious to see when this all just blows up in everyone's face, what the response is. Like, are they going to, get the bailouts and go back to doing what they're doing? Or are they going to get the bailouts and be like, oh, we're not going to make that mistake again. Once bitten, twice shy. Touch my hand on that stove. I'm very curious to see how it all kind of shakes out in the end. Okay. Brandon T. Houston, with all the puts being used to cover FTDs, what is to stop hedgies from just buying replacement contracts? The put contracts expire in 2 weeks. Yeah, that is a problem. One, the contracts expire after close or at close on Friday the 21st, and then no trading can be done until the following Monday. So they aren't going to be able to do anything with those contracts because contracts don't do after hours trading. They only trade during trading hours. So I don't know. And then they got to buy all that stuff. They got to find the money to buy all that stuff, which means we can expect maybe that weekend a whole bunch of crypto gets sold while they desperately try to come up with cash to buy a whole bunch of useless put contracts that are 2 years down the line or whatever. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting week, that fourth week of January. It's going to be super duper interesting. Let's see here. All right, people are giving each other advice. Is talking about Credit Suisse. Well, at least Super Chat hits there, and I can always click on that while I'm searching for something to say. It's from Kuzma, sorry. Convertible bond would allow Aaron to issue debt and pay interest to a bondholder that would also get the option to turn the paper into AMC shares. Yes, this is true. And depending on what the price range is for those shares, there might be a price target that if the stock hits a certain level, automatically triggers into shares. This is what happened in the squeeze in January, the baby squeeze in January, was the minute the stock hit, I think it was $13.50, triggered 300 million shares to appear into existence, which absolutely just drowned the market with shares, diluted everything, which pushed the share price of AMC from 20 whatever, its 52-week high, down to $5 in February. Was the addition of all those shares. It also allowed for a huge amount of institutional ownership of those shares, and it combined with 50 million shares sold by Weibo, whatever it was, Weebly, the Chinese company that invested a bunch in AMC. I can't remember their name. And then in April, again in June, AMC issued even more shares. So it could allow them to get rid of a bunch of debt, but it's going to dilute the stock by a lot of shares, especially if they sign a contract for convertible bonds while the share price is depressed right now. If they signed this contract back when it was $50 in August or whatever, okay, triggers at $75 or whatever. But if they sign it now, it might trigger at $35, $40, which is an easy place for the stock to rise to, and then boom, 100 million, 200 million more shares appear on the market, and the float gets diluted by 40%. That might cause a lot of damage and kill a potential rally. So, something to think about, Adam Aaron and company. Decider, do you think we would see a huge increase by the end of the month for GME and AMC? If not, do I think that's probably can hold this out for another year? I think we're going to see a rise before the end of the month. There's just too much weird stuff happening with options, with the options chain for January 21st, that it can't be avoided. They'll try their hardest to push under the rug and do squirrely things, figure out ways to get AMC to generate a bunch of shares. I don't know. All sorts of weird things. But if they can get past this, then we'll probably have another ride like we had last year where it spiked in March and then spiked again in end of May, beginning of June, spiked again in August, spiked again in November, and we'll just do that. But if the price spike is big enough to concern the powers that be, and it coincides with a market that's contracting as a result of Chinese bonds and Omicron and corporate debt and interest rates going down, all this other stuff, it might be a perfect storm. And what we're waiting for. That's what we're waiting for, man. We won't know it until we see it. And all we can do is just watch YouTube and twiddle our thumbs until it happens. Terry Haugen, Bitcoin is dumping right now. Again? Let's see here. What you doing, Bitcoin? What you doing? Oh yeah, it's going down a little bit more. So we are down 7% on the day. It was down 8 and some change. It was down like 8 and a quarter. We're still down 7% right now. Not doing well, and all the other crypto are doing the exact same graph. So yeah. But they all had a huge dip at exactly 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's weird when that happens. Yeah, Dogecoin's down to 15 cents. Interesting. I drank half my water here. Okay. Bitcoin is dumping. Going through the chat. We're going through the chat, monkey. That's right. Aaron F. Houston, happy birthday. Did you see the video on Reddit of the hedge fund dude talking about GME and the naked shorting? He mentioned Citadel, Keith Gill, naked shorts. Girk was right about options. Yeah, that's from a couple months ago. Some sort of roundtable about stock corruption or something like that. Someone sent me the link earlier today, and I watched it, and he was right on. He basically said that the media is going to try and blame all the retail investors, and not at all discuss like the mechanics of how we got here. And how we got here is these market makers. They're supposed to only generate these synthetic stocks to keep liquidity flowing through the market, but instead it appears that they generated naked stocks to do these weird equity swaps with hedge funds so that hedge funds could short the stock without it ever being recorded as an actual short because they never borrowed the shares. And then inside the accounts of Citadel, of whatever market maker, is they attach this like ownership or lease to the liability of these shorted shares. And then no one ever reported it. So that's how a lot of these shares got generated. And then to hedge against it, these large institutions then generated a whole bunch of naked options, and then they all bought those options to cover their positions. But those options will never be in the money, ever. So it's fake. It'd be like, it's basically saying like, I got a hot girlfriend. She's a supermodel. She's from Canada in that summer camp. No, you'll never meet her. They just don't exist. Like that's what it's all about. And that guy was speaking that truth to power. He's like, look, because of using this options chain to cover these positions instead of just closing them out is where, it's going to compound every cycle. We're going to have gamma squeezes. The price is going to go up. Have gamma squeezes. The prices are going to go up. Combined with the fact that retail won't sell. They'll buy more, but they won't sell. And they're just digging a hole. Just from DAX. Can't they open up new contracts to roll the current FTDs? They keep hiding in out of the money puts. They can, but I don't think they can roll that stuff until these ones expire. So there's going to be some period in there where a bunch of this stuff is uncovered, and then brokerages are going to do forced buying. They're going to say, hey, like all these FTDs, I got to sell some of your stuff. We're going to have to close some of these out, which is where we're going to get a bit of gamma squeeze from. And we'll get some gamma from the fact that a bunch of stock shares will also go, a bunch of contracts will also go on the money. And they got to start buying those as well to make good on those deals. So yeah, week 4 of January, I think it's going to be fun. So let's see where it goes. William Morgan, Chinese real estate sector owes $173 billion in salary for January, but say they don't have it. Many workers haven't been paid in months. Chinese government's going to have to start printing money, I think, and just pay those people. But Chinese yuan is attached to the U.S. dollar. It's like tethered to it. So, that might cause our currency to have inflation problems as a result. It'd be interesting to see. Oh, and the other big news, I forgot to put it in the description. Apparently, Coinbase is freezing the accounts of people who have money tied up in Tether coins right now. That they're forcing people to close their Tether positions before allowing them access to their account again. And this is all coming from the fact that these Tether coins are Ponzi schemes. The cash is gone. If you bought Tether, you paid $5 for Tether, the person you gave that $5 to at the Tether Corporation in British Virgin Islands or whatever took your money and hid it somewhere. And that money is not coming back. It's very concerning because 80% of Bitcoin transactions were done using just US dollar Tether coin. And US dollar Tether coin, when they audited the bank accounts of that faceless corporation in the British Virgin Islands, they only found 3 cents of every dollar still existing. And so it's a big, giant $70 billion Ponzi scheme. And if Bitcoin is crashing and everyone's going to try and get out of Bitcoin, a lot of folks will be getting out using Tether coins and then discovering they can't redeem those Tether coins for anything else. If it is this giant canary in the coal mine for when MOAS is happening or when the market's going to crash. So I think Coinbase is kind of covering their ass right now and slowly trying to get their customers out of these Tether coins and then not offering them to people anymore so that, they won't have this weird run on the bank that other trading platforms might run into. My second or third show ever was all about the crypto scam of US dollar Tether coin, and that when the shit hits the fan, Tether coin will not be responding, will not be there to clean it up. Those guys took that fiat currency everyone is so angry about, put in a bunch of bank accounts in Panama and the Canary Islands and wherever else, and they took your money and they're gone. Peace. $70 billion is ours. Eat it. Like, hey, more power. If you can pull off a $70 billion scheme, tip of my fedora to you, good sir. All you can do is just give them a golf clap and shake your head slightly disapprovingly, but being like, I wish I'd thought of that. That's what it comes down to. People are going to scam, and if you're in an unregulated market, they're going to scam you real hard. So just assume everything you touch in the crypto land is a scam of some kind. It might not be fungible, but they'll definitely F you. Okay. Oh. Cameron Mirza, are you going on Froggy Styles YouTube channel? Also, Loopring will be airdropping 10,000 NFTs starting today. I don't know who Froggy Styles is. I don't know. I've not been invited on Froggy Styles YouTube channel, but if I hear from them, I guess I'll talk about that. I did see the Loopring thing that they have these pictures of guys whose brains get removed over and over again, like little GIFs, I guess. And they're going to just be airdropping them in people who have Loopring Layer 2s as gifts, I guess. Gifts. So, maybe they'll drop one into mine. That'd be cool. I'll take a picture that I hopefully can sell for a lot of money to some other fool. Because why not, baby? So I think this is their marketing scheme to get people to start signing up for Loopring, which is easy peasy. You sign up, you get it off your app store or whatever, and they give you your little passphrase, and all of a sudden you've got a wallet. So yeah. Chakaseki, on the eve of the anniversary of a violent insurrection that almost destroyed our government and nearly installed that one. Oh, that's sorry, nuts. We did that one. I thought that was a new one. That's an old one. Gravy seals. Yeah. Meal Team 6 and the Gravy Seals. Oh yeah, and Reddit is down as well. I just saw that right before I came on. Forgot to announce that as well. Okay. Limited 251. What are your thoughts on sensonics? I have no thoughts on sensonics. I don't even know what sensonics is. Let's do a quick, what the heck is a sensonic? This one? Nope. That, yeah, that one. Sensonics. N-Sonic? Whoops. I didn't type it out all the way. That'd be the problem. And I can't spell. Sensonics, evaluation accuracy, next generation, 100-day long, implantable, even sense continuous glucose monitoring system. Oh, it's another implantable system. That's invasive. So, you know, invasive is going to be a thing of the past if No Labs gets their stuff FDA approved. They will wipe out that entire market. Because if you can just wear a Fitbit that tells you glucose monitoring in real time without having to like consult things, your phone's like, awooga, eat a cookie. That's awesome. Rather than having some sort of weird piece of plastic jammed into your bloodstream to do real-time monitoring that has to get swapped out and all this stuff done. I think it will kill their market share. If No Labs gets approved, they are a $100 billion company overnight, because every insurance company in the United States of America for their 30 million diabetics will be going for this non-invasive device and subscription system, and they'll be making money hand over fist, and every other competitor out there will just be a thing of the past. It'll be a new era. Bee's Knees, this obelisk. It's very far south, 7 degrees south. Boink. Boink. All right. This obelisk. We are in Antarctica. We are in Antarctica. We are in the snow of Antarctica. We are in Antarctica. Obelisk? I don't see an obelisk. Is there an obelisk there? I see a glacier. Very bright glacier. Is there a street view of Antarctica? That's nothing. That's where some very frozen bodies are buried. Bitcoin cruise ship had to return to port today. Doesn't the crew members have COVID? Yeah, I would not go on a cruise ship during this pandemic. That just seems like I don't care what kind of deal you get. That just seems like a really dumb idea. Yeah, and then Chucker Sick says, I can't imagine someone going on a cruise thinking, that's a really good idea. Yeah, you do not, like, the stories of Norwalk virus on cruise ships are bad enough, but like being stuck out at sea, the entire point is I get to go from port to port to port to port, and then you go through the Caribbean or wherever, and you get to Aruba, and the government of Aruba's like, I'm not going to let you freaking plague rats into our little town. Screw you. So you end up being stuck on the ship for 2 weeks, and you can't go to any of the ports and do any of the things. That's the whole reason you want to go swimming with dolphins and, I don't know, buy knickknacks from tchotchke shops and now you're just like eating stale food and breathing in whatever your sick cabin mates are also breathing. And it seems like a very terrible plan to me to go on a cruise ship. I'm sure I might get a stern letter from Holland America or something saying, "How dare you?" But yeah, I'm not going on a cruise. That's not happening. All right. Project Sun thoughts, practically at least, more virulent, less severe patients are 73% likely to develop severe illness due to the variant not colonizing lung tissue. I was reading something from a doctor last night about Omicron, and that Omicron isn't as severe as Delta, but it's still more severe than the version that came out of Wuhan 2 years ago. So, it's not like Delta is up here. Oh, it's really, really bad. Omicron is there. So when they say it's not as bad as Delta, it's still, not having COVID down here, Omicron up here. And if you've had previous COVID, previous infections, and you get Omicron, apparently it's really bad. That your body's been so damaged by the previous versions of COVID that when this one hits you, it's pretty gnarly. I don't want it. I try my best not to go in public at all if I can. I did my grocery shopping at midnight. I have no interest in getting this thing and wear my mask. And I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified of flying this time around. I will not take my mask off. I'm just going to starve and dehydrate for 24 hours because I am not taking my mask off around any of the people in the airports. I'm not even wear swimming goggles or something so I can't get in my eyes. I don't know. But I don't want it. I don't want it. Andrew McDonald's got some spots for me. Let's find out where he buried his bodies. Because this one in Antarctica, there's not even an obelisk there. I was told I'd seen an obelisk. Okay, going to Merca? Maybe? I cannot tell where we just went. Where'd we go? Where are we? Looks like we're in the middle of nowhere. We are in some fjords. We are in Canada. So we got a weathered mountaintop, and just so you know, internet, Andrew McDonald has buried a dozen prostitutes right there, just so you know. So if you're looking for the serial killer, it's Andrew McDonald. That's where all of his bodies are buried. No one's ever gonna find him. Sorry, Andrew, you let your secret out, and now everyone knows. This is the evening of sending me to nothing. You guys are sending me so far, I've been sent to nothing every single time. Give me something. Give me something. Okay. Michael Bonneville, wouldn't U.S. dollar plummeting affect other currencies? Would the Canadian dollar suffer? Possibly. Well, what happened 2008-09 when the U.S. had this big crisis was the Canadian dollar briefly became more powerful than the U.S. dollar, which hurt Canadian exports. Canadian exports to the U.S. were so based on being cheaper than U.S. dollar. That's why they wanted truck factories and stuff in Ontario. And it was a previous time, like in 2002, I remember going skiing in Whistler, and there's a 50% exchange rate. And, you go to lunch at this mountain, and your lunch was, buy a hamburger, you give them a $20 bill, and they give you $20 back in change. And it was like, what the fuck? All right. That was awesome. That was fantastic. And then a few years later, our economy crashes, and all of a sudden it's like $1.03 US to $1 Canadian dollar, and people stopped going to Canada. So Canada, they use that exchange rate for tourism. They use it for investment into exports. And if we hurt and they stay strong, it may actually end up hurting them in the long run. Grandpa Barney, fire sale. So I'm picking up some GME tomorrow, but amazing buy. Grandpa is trapped until next week. Bummer. Okay. My brother, pump your lineman up. Tip for a pump. That doesn't sound right, lol. You know what I mean? I love you, Grandpa Barney. You've had a lot of work. I've had friends out in Hoodsport that have been without power for like 5 days now since the convection zone convergence zone storm hit the other day. They've just been sitting in the dark, and I'm sure that you are out there trying to get everything back and upright. But winter storms, man, it's time of year. Everything's not. We had a big old power blink, and then the internet went out for 2 hours. Right after I set up the show, I'm like, hey, I'll see you guys in 2 hours. The internet went out for almost that whole time right afterwards. But yeah, such is life. Thank you, Grandpa Barney. Thank you for getting out there. Does your family have that sticker on the back of your car that says, like, my husband works the polls, so I don't have to? Support your lineman. If not, I'm going to find that sticker for you. Did Loop Ring go down with all the others today? So the rumor is now that Loop Ring et al. Are going to make their announcement about their marketplace sometime at CES this week, which I think is, when's CES open? It's open on Friday or Saturday, sometime. But a lot of folks pulled out of CES because of the Omicron variant, so I have no idea how big CES will be this year. MT, Houston Way, Devil's Hole. There's a section that is unexplored that has a current sucking into it. A tidal wave 2,000 miles away caused a water surge in the cavern itself. How are they connected? I have no idea. I'm going to have to... Devil's Hole. Devil's Hole. The big limestone cavern, perhaps? Devil's Hole. Tidal wave? Okay. I have to look that up. I have no idea. Never heard of it. So, there we go. And Grandpa says, no, I have. Even firemen need a hero with a picture of a lineman on a pole. It's a good sticker. All right. There's a funny group that's called, like, what is it? Using your spouse's job as your identity or something like that. And there's so many funny little stickers and stuff that you see in the back of people's cars. Address me by my husband's rank. Sure thing. Private. All right. Christopher S. Houston, what's your opinion on the BBB? Better Business Bureau, I assume? Sometimes they're helpful. If you need somebody to, like, you need to report someone. But the times I've had to use them to report a bad business, they're just like, oh, it's what happens. This business happens to do this a lot. Oh, well. I don't know if they have any teeth in that regard. And then they use a lot of their cash flow from their members to do their politicking. So they, they do their thing. Oh, Homer's Ghost sent me, I think, something up front. Is this where the there? Is this where the obelisk is supposed to be? Maybe on the north, not the south. Okay, sorry. You put so many words in the coordinates here. I gotta delete some to make sure this thing will work. A comma there, and try that. Nope, not understand. Oh, that's because there's so many spaces in here. Delete that. Oops. Nope. Shoot. That was a one. Wrong one. I want to delete that. I want to delete that. I want to. If this fixing this, your coordinates. If this doesn't work this time around, then nope. Sorry there, Homer's Ghost. How you put the coordinates in here is not liking it. Whatever happened and why? Oh, it's because there's a negative there. Maybe it doesn't want that negative. There we go. That was it. Did not like the negatives. They were too redundant because west means negative and negative means negative. And we're on a beach. We are Smoking Hills. Is this where the hills smoke? Got a nice little ice reef there. A little wandering river along the spit. This is pretty remote. This is the middle of nowhere. Is this Northwest Territories? Is that where we are? So, there you go. If you bury a body here, I guarantee you no one's ever going to find it. This is a great spot to bury a body. Because no one's ever going to come here. If you do, maybe you might get some like paleontologists during field season might be like, oh, let's see if we can find some fossils, and they'll just uncover your murder victims. But throw them in one of these little ponds right here. They'll turn to soap. Yeah, that's a good spot to bury those corpses. Come to Houston, we have a problem where we solve the problem of hiding bodies all over the world. So many bodies just buried in all the spots my viewers send me to. What do you think, Monkey? Where'd you bury him? Missy Mills, Houston, found you on Al. Question, I try to come up with a scenario for, is there a way hedgies can legitimately not close, or what is the max you think they could possibly draw this out? Well, whatever they're doing right now works. And as long as the price action, I think, doesn't get above a certain point, they can survive. Now, for that to happen would have to coincide with the fact that they also can't have their assets under management shrink. Because you've got your assets under management, and then you have your 30-to-1 margin, right? That margin play they're doing. And if the assets under management shrinks, let's say it goes down 25%, because we have a 25% shrink in the market, right? Well, if you go from $1 billion to $750 million, and you have a $30 billion liability, if we go to calculator, turn off Google Earth, turn off Chrome, and we got our calculator. So you got $30 billion of margin, right? And now you're at $750 million in, oops, I had 300 million. Dang it. 30 billion, not 30 million. 30 billion. There we go. 750 million. Now you're at a 40-time margin. And this is enough to cause a margin call, which means you're going to have to dump in, $250 million into your hedge fund. And if you can't do that, your prime broker is required to liquidate you to close those margins. They're going to have to sell off assets to close chunks of that margin. And at the amount that they're overextended with GME and AMC and the other meme stock plays, basically they're going to liquidate it out of existence, and then the liability of that margin is going to fall on the prime broker and the investment banks. So they're going to get stuck with that stuff. They're going to get stuck with, $29 billion in liability. No one wants to get stuck with $29 billion in liability. That would be awful. So if the assets under management shrink, or if that price grows, if the price of GameStop, the price of meme stocks and stuff, they go up 200%. So we're at $130 now, and if the price is at $390, that might be enough to increase the value of that margin, that they start to extend well beyond the 30-to-1 ratio, and they can get margin calls. And if both happen at the same time, if the assets under management shrink and this negative beta stock does the opposite and it grows, we could be looking at 100-to-1 margins all of a sudden. And there's no way for the prime brokers to look the other way if they see that kind of liability on their sheets. The federal government's going to come down on them for allowing that to happen, and they're going to have to liquidate. They're going to have to close down these firms. So, as long as the prices get too high and as long as the Dow doesn't dip too much, they can maintain this probably indefinitely. But the minute something gets out of whack, that's out of their control, such as, I don't know, a few $1 trillion in Chinese bonds becoming worthless, or shutdowns of the economy, or corporate debt bubble problems, or whatever. If any of those things start to really put a pinch on this stuff and changes one side or the other of that balance, then they're screwed. And once they're screwed, there's nothing they can do. Once they face liquidation, it's Jesus take the wheel. They have no control over where that car goes after that point. They're done. Someone else is driving the car for them. So they can't, naked short anymore. They can't do any other plays. They're just getting liquidated. And then everyone else is packing up their office into little cardboard boxes and going home. And that's what we're hoping to get them to. Whoops. That's the one I want. Okay, I missed another super chat, I think, while I was yakking on there. Another Grandpa Barney. Hey, pump me up. I'm 50,000 down. No. Just fear one raw nerve. Squeeze is good. Squeeze is good, Barney. I think all that you're down right now is going to come right back up by the 4th week of January. It's going to come back up because all people did today was buy more. They did not sell. It was a 90-to-1 buy to sell ratio on Fidelity today. So everyone's seeing, they're wiping the drool off their face and buying at 130, and they are happy little campers because they know they're looking at the options chain. They know something weird's going to happen this month, and that's where we're going with that, man. I think you're good. You are good, Grandpa Barney. Email address, super chats. I like to use the money from the first share I sell during MOAS to buy stationery and stamps for all the DRS people to write their letters begging to sell their shares for more than $1 million. Oh, that reminds me. Mail. One second. Pardon me. Music playing. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, here we go. My Christmas present from my little sister arrived today, and it is Houston, we have a problem stickers. I think I have 100 of them. So I got 2 fat stacks of them. Houston, we have problem stickers. If you send me a self-addressed envelope to the a stamped self-addressed envelope to the post office box in the description, the first however many of you, is it 100? Maybe it's 50? I don't know. The first however many of you that send those to me, I will send you a sticker. And if more than that sends it, whoever gets the stickers gets the stickers. And if I receive any other self-addressed stamped envelopes, I will send you a Valpak coupon. Good for some business in my local area. That'll be the consolation prize for not being among the first 50 or 100 or however many stickers these are. Does it tell me how many are in here? It says 100. Okay, so maybe 101. This might be a 101st one here. But yeah, sticker mule. So yeah, there you go. That's the announcement. You want to send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, I will send you this. And if you want to send something weird along with your self-addressed stamped envelope, that always would crack me up. Maybe some dog jerky. I don't know. Make Monkey Butt happy. But I will send stickers to you guys. There you go. Thank you for inadvertently reminding me, email address, that I'd received that yesterday. We have Houston. We have a problem stickers that everyone can get. All right. Okay. I'm only an hour behind in the chat, but that's okay because just cut off. I scrolled down so far that it cut off the first hour of chat. So if you chatted between 6:06 p.m. and 7:17 p.m., I have no idea what you sent me. All right. Eric, wasn't AMC near $50 a share when Kramer told people to buy? That sounds about right. Kramer likes to make sure that everyone who watches his show is absolutely destitute. It appears to be the MO for his entire program is how poor can Jim Kramer make you with loud noises and buttons going on. I want to build a set where I've got all the little loud noises and buttons and just do a Jim Kramer parody show. Auga! Bing bing! Beep bop bop bop! And just, yeah. It was Stephen Colbert that used to do that in the Daily Show. He used to just like totally rip on, or was it in the Colbert Report? One of those that he used to do that on. It was brilliant. TP isn't meta-glucose monitoring. It's the same tech. I don't know if it's the same tech, but they're also apparently, they've got the R&D developing a contactless, non-invasive glucose monitoring system. But I don't know how theirs works. I've toured No Labs. The CEO is a family friend of mine. I've toured No Labs, and I know how theirs works, but I have no idea about metamaterials. If I ever make my way to Halifax, Nova Scotia, I mean, I know people. I know some engineers that are there, so I might get a chance to tour their research development lab if I ever make my way to Nova Scotia. I just had never had a chance to go to Nova Scotia ever in my life, or a reason to go to Nova Scotia. I'd love to see the Bay of Fundy. I'd love to see a 40-foot tide swing. That'd be awesome. That's one hell of a way to spend 6 hours. But yeah, they do have one, supposedly. We'll see how it's working. Houston one and done Hot Pocket Wade. Yeah, I am never eating a Hot Pocket again. On Twitch last night, people were like, "Oh no, you had the wrong kind. You need to have the maple and brown sugar or the cheese." Like, no, I am not having a Hot Pocket ever again. If the zombie apocalypse hits and we're down to eating like non-dairy creamers and saltine cracker packets from cafeterias around the world, and there happens to be just an intact freezer full of Hot Pockets, I'm going to stick with the non-dairy creamers and the saltine crackers and just not eat a Hot Pocket ever again if I can avoid it. There, I said it. Hot Pockets, you done. Okay. Matt with 1T heard the AMC movie ticket dividend idea on your show a month ago. Was that ever pursued? Well, people were at last spring. People were talking to Adam Aaron about possible dividends, and I brought up like if you want to screw over short hedge funds, you wouldn't do a movie ticket deal. You would do something like a gift card, but the gift card's only redeemable for tickets or whatever, like a $50 gift card to every person who's invested with AMC. And then if there's a billion naked shorts out there, those naked shorts are going to have to go to AMC and buy $50 billion in gift cards, right? Something like that. That I think will be pretty funny. But Adam Aaron, he stated flatly, like, until they're profitable and until they clear a portion of their debt and their revenue, at least revenue neutral, without that their assets to their debt ratio is better, they cannot issue a dividend. And so all the talk about doing a crypto dividend or doing tickets or baseball hats or whatever they might do, they just can't do them right now until they get some more cash in their account. The cash they have in their account right now is borrowed, so they're $5 billion in the hole. They've got $2 billion in cash on hand, but all of that is borrowed in the last year and a half or so. This Q4 is probably going to be really good for them. I bet there's going to be positive cash flow, but Q1 is going to be a deep, dark, miserable, sad place. There are no good movies coming out this quarter. There's nothing looks good. And it's usually the time of year when studios dump their garbage movies anyways for huge losses and take their tax write-offs. So you get a whole bunch of like PG-13 horror movies in January. Really poorly edited spy films. The good movies are going to be the Oscar contenders that they release just before Christmas. So they squeeze it in just before the end of the year. They could be for like Academy Awards contention. But they don't get very many viewing anyway. They get slow viewing until we get close to the awards and get nominated for everything, and then all of a sudden in March people will start watching them. But it's going to be slow going, I think, for this quarter. Omicron is just gnarly. Everyone's sick. Workers are staying home. Restaurants are closing because they don't have the workers to take them while they're sick. And once we get over this wave, it might be a different story. But for the next month or so, I think we're going to be kind of just sucking wind. Hi, dog. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah? You've been a good dog. Want to come say hi to everybody? Yeah? Come on. Come on, here we go. I can say hi to everyone. Yeah, oh boy. Oh boy, huh? Yeah. All right. No Revolution 105. Check out the color-changing BMW from CES Cool getaway car after MOAS. Ooh, they have an active camouflage car. It was the red BMW, the black, red, yellow BMW. That's totally like a Bond car, man. Color changing car. I'll have to check that out. Color changing car from CES. Let's doink. What I need for my little thingy is it also brings it up on my second monitor for me. Nope. There we go. CES color change BMW. Does this change from one color to another, or is it the entire car? No, go away. Well, I want a video, man. USA Today. Can I get a video of the color change car? Jalopnik. Well, there's cool. All right. So I can go from black to white, white to black. That's neato. I dig it. It's gonna be a nightmare on how. I mean, I know they have got those things, those paints that you can put like electrical current through it and it will glow and change that way. I wonder how they're doing it. I'll have to read up on that. Space Monkey. How deep have we dug a hole in the earth? Aside from that, how deep could we go before it becomes dangerous for humans? Doesn't have to go that far to get dangerous for humans. The deepest hole I know of was the deep bore that they did in Siberia, and it went down 16 miles. And it got so deep, it's just so hot that it kept melting the diamond bits. Like it just couldn't get any further because it was just turned like plastic down there, trying to mine goo. So that seems to be the deepest we go. If you get to really deep mines, the mines that are the gold mines in South Africa, the Kidd Creek mine in Ontario, Canada, and you're down 10, 11, 12, 13,000 feet, it is really, really hot down there. So without excellent air systems, cooling air conditioners, cooling everything off and circulating air, you basically just cook people alive. I think at the bottom of the Kidd Creek mine, without the air conditioners turned on, it's 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you're not surviving in that for very long. You're just gonna cook. It's gonna be like that's what like you go to the buffet at the grocery store at the deli, and they've got like the chicken sitting under the heat lamps there. That is what is keeping that chicken at edible temperatures out of the danger zone, and that's the temperature you are in those mines. So a lot of those guys, they're pumping huge amounts of air. Some of them that are in some of the mining machines, you're inside an air-conditioned like machine, blaring your Metallica, drilling holes and packing it full of TNT. And then get over your shift, you go to another air-conditioned environment and back up again. So those are the deepest holes I know of. There is a scientific project that I think got funded where they're going to go to a thin part of the oceanic crust, I think where it's about 5 miles thick. They're going to try and drill through the oceanic crust down to the liquid mantle and just see what happens. I think what's going to happen is they're going to make a new island hotspot volcano that will eventually come to the surface of the earth. I like that kind of science. I would support doing a drilling survey, just like 10,000 random points across the United States, and just send out drill teams to just drill several thousand feet in there, just see what's there, and just map the entire continent as to where stuff is. That'd be really cool to me, but it'd be very expensive and it might pay off with huge mineral finds or oil finds or other things. But I'm more just curious to see what would happen if we drilled 10,000 random holes. What would we find? Where are these areas of mineralization that we can't see? Cameron Mirza. AMC, according to new filing, Adam Aaron just purchased 1,113,000 more shares of AMC. How about Pizza Pops? I don't know what a Pizza Pop is. Are you guys trying to get me to eat more garbage? I mean, I eat garbage as it is, but it's like the garbage that my body's used to. Introducing new garbage to my system at my age, I don't know what that's going to do to me. You guys are trying to create that mukbang channel, the Korean stuff my face channels, where people just watch me like slowly kill myself with cholesterol. So did he purchase 1 million more shares, or did he exercise options for 1 million more shares? Because it seems that he's swapping those shares with JP Morgan. But I'll have to see what you're talking about. I don't know. Did he buy? Can anyone verify if he bought more? Chakuseki, if I was Ryan Cohn, I would release an absurd NFT dividend, like a move file, a Battlefield Earth, or a text file of Hammurabi, Hammurabi's fanfic. Start MOAS in style. I think a ridiculous, absolutely middle finger to the entire world would be fantastic. Sometimes bad art is art nonetheless. Like, if you guys saw the new Matrix movie, it was not good. It was not a good movie. The lighting was great. The colorization of the film was fantastic. The framing of the images were great, but the plot was really stupid. But there was a reason behind it, because Lana Wachowski did not want to make a movie. She didn't want to do it. She wanted to move on from the Matrix onto something else. And Warner Brothers basically said, "Hey, we're going to make this movie with or without you. And you're either with us, or this thing you created is going to keep going forever." And so Lana Wachowski, she was like, "Fine, I'll make the movie, but I've got creative control." And they're like, "Hey, you're the creator. You do your thing." And she basically said, "Screw you, up yours, Warner Brothers. I'm going to ruin this franchise so I never have to make one of these movies again." And they took away all the symbolism, all the allegory. And it was just in your face, directly telling you exactly what they meant. And it took the nuance out of the film, because I think she and her sister were so sick of these like white supremacist and far right groups co-opting the symbolism of the movie with red pill and blue pill stuff to mean things that were opposite of what they wanted, that they're like, "Hey, we're just going to come out and say, Nazis, this movie is not for you. Quit using our crap. We're going to ruin your childhood. I'm done." And because the movie is such a miserable failure, Warner Brothers will never touch that franchise again, and the Wachowskis will never have to make another Matrix movie. They can just go on to whatever projects they want from this point forward. Like, while they made a garbage product, part of me is like, way to stick it to them. And that, I did not enjoy the film, but I enjoyed the reason why I didn't enjoy the film. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I can respect the garbage they made because they meant to make garbage. There. They wanted to drown that baby in the bathtub and just be done with it. Just took them 20 years to finally be done with it. Okay. All right. Did I miss anything? Where are we? We're at 7:53. Oh man, we're making good time tonight. Uh-oh. I'm down to the I'm out of this one. I'm down to the other jar. That's where we are. We're at two glass night. Mobile Makeover 1. Can you purchase No Labs Webull platform? I don't think Webull has access to the OTC, so you have to use a different broker for that. So I bought No Labs. I think I have No Labs both in Fidelity and Schwab. Is where I've got theirs. Okay. Vindicator, the volume doesn't add up to the price drop on any of the meme stocks. Short hedge funds are screwed. Yeah. Every time you see the price drop like that is because there's a bunch of naked shorting on the dark pools and taking away the buy pressure. They're moving that stuff through there, and they're only taking the cheapest stock they can and putting it through a lit exchange or bid price they can put through the exchange, and everything else is getting funneled through the dark pools. And that stuff is just is shady, and it just means they're digging the hole deeper. And there's going to come a time when they don't have the choice of putting that stuff through the dark pool, and that their power is going to be taken away from them by their whoever their broker is. What's the ticker for No Labs? Is KNWN, I believe. Noon. Rob Towel. Never had a Hot Pocket decision confirmation. Thanks, H-Dub. Yeah, I'm doing Hot Pockets. Eating it was kind of flavorless and whatever. It was the 7 hours of my stomach doing backflips that just were not worth it. There's something about, I turned 40 this year, and something happened with my insides that I can eat hot stuff. Fine, I eat it, and then it goes into my body, and then my body's like, why? And then I don't sleep, and I'm miserable, and I'm eating, $20 worth of Tums just to survive the night. If other people are geezers, you may have experienced this as well, but I have to adopt my Mayo sapien roots and just have the most boring foods in the entire world now, because I just physically can't go through my stomach doing flips all night long, and like the fire burps that happen. It's awful. Like, I've reached my limit, man. I've reached my limit. Fee Rums AMC, sorry about your aunt. I wish her well through her COVID recovery. That's not fun. Anna Rolnick, Houston, I dehydrated on my flight back from Florida and fainted on the plane. They had to give me O2 and call a doctor. Like, your recent flight while you were quarantining down there? Man, I don't know. Maybe I'll get like a hamster feeder and attach it under my mask or something. Because you guys can see I drink a lot of water, so we're gonna have to turn to get a Camelback or something. I can fit up under my, but then that's more than 2 ounces of liquid. I don't know how to do this stuff. All right. Andrew McDonald is technically the Earth's mantle. Is this true? Oh, that spot out in was it Labrador, Newfoundland, somewhere in there. Newfoundland, I think that was. I always flip Labrador and Newfoundland around. It might have been previous mantle, but not current mantle. Basically, the basaltic rock you see get pumped up from the ocean floor is kind of old mantle. It might be really, really old craton, which is like the first silica-rich rocks that appeared after the Earth sort of froze after being a molten goo ball. I'll have to look into that spot and see what it is about the area, what the geology is about it. I don't know enough about that part of Canada to tell you one way or the other if that random spot you sent me on Google Earth is anything at all. Very reputable doctors are saying once you've had COVID, you cannot contact again. No, that's not true. There are plenty of people that are getting COVID a second time around, especially with Omicron, that it's changed enough. What you won't get is the variant you had. So if you had Alpha last year, you won't get Alpha again if you got presented with it. That virus is that version of the virus is dead and gone. You're not getting it. But if you had Delta, you can still get Omicron. If you had Beta, you can still get Omicron. If you had the original version from Wuhan, you can still get Omicron. Omicron doesn't really seem to care if you're vaccinated or if you were a previous person who was infected. It's mutated enough into a different enough that your immune system doesn't immediately notice it anymore, and it has to fight it off again and adjust the antibodies that it uses to fight it. Not only that, but with Omicron, apparently they can't use the monoclonal antibodies because it doesn't do anything. So if you're somebody with a compromised immune system who's been basically surviving on monoclonal antibodies, it's not going to do any good anymore because those antibodies they're giving you do not recognize the virus anyway. So, as we approach this virus being endemic, there are going to be lots and lots of variations of it as we progress through. And the gnarliest variations are probably going to come from people who are immunocompromised, that the virus can sit in them and change over months and months and months. The biggest hypothesis about Omicron is that they think it incubated inside of an immunocompromised person, and basically they just lived with this sickness for months, and so the virus was able to change before it decided to make its big debut. It's like doing 3 months of rehearsals before doing a Broadway production and announcing yourself to the world, and announce itself it did. So we're looking at weird stuff. Weird stuff is going on. We're in a weird time, man. Everything's weird. Weird market, weird plagues, weird dogs on the floor hiding from her camera. She's like, just out of view. I can maybe get this on the dirty floor and you guys can see the dog. Yeah, there you are. Thought you could escape, huh? You cannot. We will find you. Yeah, look at the camera, buddy. Yeah, I see you. All right. She's like, I feel so betrayed right now. I wouldn't hide from the camera. Oh, well. Oof. Okay. Oh, man, I'm only half an hour behind the chat. Not too shabby. Not too shabby for a Wednesday evening. I have no idea what time I'll be able to do a show on Friday. Like, it might be early afternoon, or it might be a real late night After Dark with Houston show. I've things I've got to get done on Friday, so FYI. Okay. Fee runs with AMC. Have you checked out the company Boxables? It's not public yet, but I think it's going to take over the housing market in the future. Is it one of those modular building companies? There's a lot of those guys out there. The modular guys, they build all the components for the house in some factory, then ship it and put it up in 2 days, and then you have a home. That stuff works. There's a company called TrueBuilt out here in the Northwest that can, build you a 3,000 square foot mansion in a week using that stuff. So, there's definitely some things there. All right, Project Sun's got a tropical coordinate for us to go to. Let's see what the tropics for. Let's see what we got in the tropics. Google Earth. Come on. The Google Earth button doesn't work anymore. I have to reassign that thing. That's very annoying. Google Earth. Where is Project Sun sending us? Bam. We are going to the tropics in the middle of I'm going to an atoll. Where did I end up here? I am in an atoll, a little island. There's Kalhaiduhu. Which island chain am I on here? Oh, I'm in the Maldives. Maldives are pretty cool. My little sister got to go there a couple years ago and she loved it. But what are we doing in this little atoll here? Barashdu. Looks like a palm plantation, maybe? Is it up on here? Just one little house on that little island. Got some great beaches, though. Some killer surf off here. Lots of cool diving. Got the little deep sea port built in here for this little town. Like, if you got this little town here, you have roads, but it's probably be paths, right? There's no reason to have. I think it looks like a road. Like, the place the size of my backyard. You don't need a town, do you? Laamu Atoll. These atolls are awesome. Do you guys know how these things form? So this is a dead volcano. The tip of the volcano is buried somewhere in the center of the lagoon. And as the mountain erodes away, the beaches form, you get limestone and quartz and stuff forming around it. And as the ocean starts to take over the land, what is the limestone, the coral that gets built up, is living. So it's constantly growing on whatever's there. So that's what the island is being built on, is this living, dying coral. And then the volcano slowly becomes this hump underwater. So if we zoom out, you can kind of see that, yeah, it's a little dark shaded here, but you can see that there's like little mountains underneath all these little atolls here. And you can look at volcanic chains around the world. I'll do this when they get in the tropical waters. So if we go to Hawaii, get the islands of volcanoes formed on, and they slowly conveyor belt their way northwest and become seamounts, and then they become atolls. So this one is the French Frigate Shoals. So you got the atolls of French Frigate Shoals. The ancient Hawaiian volcano is the seamount that's under here. And we go out to like Midway Atoll up here. So here's Midway. Just a tiny little tip of what's left of the volcano that's underwater. And eventually, the Hawaiian Islands get so far north that the coral ends up dying, and then the Hawaiian Island chain just becomes these seamounts underwater because the coral can't rejuvenate in these cold waters. If we go to, what was this, Kiribati? Marshall Islands. So Marshall Islands, all ancient seamount volcanoes, and it's all these atolls that are just the coral that's living on top of the ancient volcano. They're really cool. These big ring islands. So there's a big lagoon in the middle where the volcano used to be, and then the limestone and coral rings that form the outside. They're groovy, man. Super groovy. Oh, super chat. Shania Johnson. Do you think you could put into numerical order the universe age when it ends? It's approximately 8,000 trillion years. Well, that's to the heat death of the universe. Entropy. So everything eventually cools off and just chills, and it is a long ways away. But that's if the universe dies via heat death. The universe can also die via what's called the Big Rip. And the Big Rip is a hypothesis built upon dark energy. And right now, dark energy is pushing certain things in the universe away from each other. So most everything is coalesced around gravity. Gravity, center of mass, stuff wants to pull in. So you form galaxies, galaxy clusters, things like that. But there are galaxy clusters that are far enough away from each other that gravity is no longer the strongest thing between them. So once you get to about 10 million light years away from another galaxy cluster, the galaxy clusters actually start to push away from each other, and that's dark energy. And we don't quite know what dark energy is, but my senior thesis in college was essentially a hypothesis as to what it is, and I think it is this natural appearance of matter and antimatter particles. It just happens all over the universe. For some reason, for some unknown reason, matter and antimatter appear into existence, collide, disappear, and leave behind a gamma ray photon. And if you get a big enough distance between galaxy clusters, and you've got this material appearing and disappearing, but leaving behind these gamma ray photons, the gamma rays are shooting off in every direction possible. Forwards, backwards, whatever. And there ends up being a giant outward pressure from inside the vacuum that's between these objects. And the gamma rays are acting like solar sails, and they're just ever so slightly pushing all that material further and further away from each other. The bigger the distance you have, the more likelihood of more of those things appearing. And gravity is distance dependent, so the further away you are, the weaker it gets. Now, some scientists at Yale a few years ago calculated the Big Rip, and they assumed that at some point dark energy will be so powerful that, right now it's pushing away galaxy clusters. But what if it starts to push away galaxies within the galaxy clusters at a certain point, and then star systems from within the galaxies themselves, and then planetary systems from within the star systems, and then the individual objects inside the now torn apart solar systems start to rip apart. And so the Big Rip, they figure everything, every molecule, every atom, everything inside the atoms will be ripped apart about 44 billion years from now, and no matter will exist at that point. So there's a couple different ways. Previously, they thought the universe would end with a big crunch, which is you get the Big Bang, whomp, and it accelerates outwards and slows down, just like tossing a baseball up in the air. Toss it up, starts to slow down, hits a point, and it starts to come back in again. That the universe explodes, and then gravitational pressure slows it down, slows it down, slows it down. It stops, and then gravity will start pulling on everything and it'll accelerate and jump and have a big crunch. Dark energy appeared, and that put a kibosh to the big crunch theory. And then it became, will it be heat death or will it be the big rip when everything rips apart? So, yeah. So 8,000 trillion years. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 12 to the 8th. That's a big number. I don't know what 12 to the 8th is. What is 12 to the 8th? Let's go to the calculator. Let's go to the calculator. Calculator. Clear. 12. Can I do scientific calculator on this sucker? 12 to the... Oh, nope, that's just squared. I don't want that. How do I change this to scientific? Clear. Let's do 12 times 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3 to the 21st, or 3 times 10 to the 21st. That's a lot of zeros. That's an incomprehensible amount of zeros. We've only existed for 13.8 billion years. So the heat death universe is a really long ways away, if that's correct. Huh. We got time. Don't worry. We got some time. Hug your loved ones. Let them know that's going to be okay. The heat death universe isn't happening for a while. All right. Next on Dexter. How do you bury a body in permafrost? With a lot of effort. That's how you do it. Heavy machinery. You have to just... And then, I don't know, cement over it or something. Leon Alexander. Houston, what number do you think most people think is reasonable to sell AMC? Well, AMC folks, I think, own more in general of individual shares than the GME people. Because it was a lower price for a longer period of time when it got into the public image, public mind. And I think there's a lot of people that have, 1,000 or more AMC shares. And I personally think that psychologically, if you have a whole bunch of shares and you see all those zeros in your account because of that, because you go, I've got $2, $3, $4, $5 million in my account. I've never seen that kind of money before. This can change everything. That psychologically, you'll have more folks going sell than folks that have smaller numbers of shares. So the sell price for a lot of folks that have big accumulation of shares, I think, is going to be lower in general than the smaller ownership. But the small ownership, I think, is the bulk of folks who own these stocks. Because people only can put hundreds of dollars here and there. Not everyone has 40 grand they can dump into a $5 stock and pick up 8,000 shares or whatever. So, yeah, but I think there's going to be two big groups. Those who have a lot of shares are like, hey, I can make millions. I'm done. Sell. And those that have to take a much more strategic approach and do the one share at a time or infinity pool or whatever in order to also get to that retirement stage of their investment. So a reasonable sell for AMC, I think, depends upon how much you have. I do think if there isn't shenanigans from the board to somehow explode the number of shares available for AMC and dilute the float, I think you can see thousands of dollars a share for AMC, no problem. The peak may be ridiculous. But if there's a whole bunch of convertible bonds made, they get triggered at $35, $40, $50, whatever along the way. That could kill a rally and flood the market all at once with just a boatload of shares, and the price will just come crashing down. And a MOAS for AMC may be delayed as a result of that. We'll have to see. I'm hoping everything squeezes at once, that all these meme plays all happen at the same time because everyone gets liquidated. But we'll have to see. Right, Monkey? Yeah. She's like, I'm done being on camera. Get a shot on my good side here. Stretch it out, big dog. There you go. Yeah. Just leave a little tail in there, wiggle wagging for everybody. Yeah? Yeah, you're a good dog. You are a good dog, Monkey. You're a very good dog. You deserve all the scratches. And if everyone has to sit through you being scratched on television or YouTube or whatever this is, then they guess what they get, right? That's what they get. Come on, get up there. Get up in your bed. Get up in your bed. Come on, go. There you go. Put you back. Back into frame. There we go. There's a happy dog. There's a happy bored dog. What that? Yeah. There you go. There's the monkey butt for everybody. Show everyone your World Wildlife Fund blanket. There you go. World Wildlife Fund. Except that's the other side. So it's mirrored right now. Now it's MMF. Whatever. All right. Second shift. How much you know about Bernie Madoff and the fallout from his scheme? Incredibly sad story. When you hear what happened to his family afterward, they never knew about it, or so they claim. Yeah, I mean, Bernie started out investing, got in over his head, didn't want to admit to his clientele they had made bad plays, and so he cooked the books to show that he had made investments in things when he hadn't. So I was like, oh crap, I made an investment, my money went down. I'm going to say that this wasn't in Coca-Cola, it was in this other stock that went up. And so he'd cook the books and change it and like, look at this, I made a bunch of money. So you go find some friends who can invest in my product and my thing, and we'll carry on from there. So he just basically took money from other investors and kept handing it as dividends. And once he ran out of investors in the 08-09 crisis, he ran out of people to give him money because no one had any more money. And what he did have invested all tanked, and that was it. The jig was up. Oh, young Skywalker. You look like the Emperor right now. Yeah, you do. Yeah, all right. Where's your little belly? Where's your little belly? All right. Get in there. Get. If you stand on the blanket, you can't curl up in the blanket. You got to get off the blanket to curl up in the blanket. Some of these days you're going to figure that out. You're going to figure that part out. She does all the time. She ends up standing on the blanket, and she tries to curl up in it, and she just pulls it off herself, and she can't figure out why that happened. Oh, so sad. So sad. There you go. You're in a little nest now. Grizzly, Houston, you think GME will go 10 times higher than AMC during the squeeze? I think it will go... Personally, I think it will go higher than that. I think it will be at least 10 times higher. But I think it will be much, much higher than that. Simply because the folks who have GME seem to be smaller ownership. Because a lot of folks got in when it was at 40 or $100. And that just meant they had less shares than those who got into GME. And then all of a sudden we're on the psychological side of, if you've got fewer shares because you made the same cash investment into this stock, then you're much more likely to be like, I can't sell until the price is absolutely stupid because it's the only way I can retire. And I think psychologically that mentality is more built into the GME holders at that point. Because they don't have thousands of shares of GME. The folks who have thousands of shares of GME can freaking retire right now. But most investors, I think, have 100 shares, 55 shares, 10 shares, things like that. And they're just sitting and waiting, and they want to retire. And they can't. It goes to $1,000 a share, and you got 50 shares. That's cool. You could buy a car, maybe pay off some student loans, but you're not going to retire on that money. And so it's going to take a lot more to get you to part with that stuff because you want life-changing amount of cash. And $50,000, it's nice, but it's not, you know, a whole new socioeconomic level nice, which is what everyone's shooting for with this stuff. Josh Glenn. Hi, Houston. I sold Doge at a peak for $50,000. Nice. And went all in AMC. I have no GME. Should I sell some AMC for GME? Not financial advice. Love from Akash Puget Sound. Oh, Seattle guy. I think it's good to at least have a little bit of GME. Namely because I don't trust the board at AMC not to do something stupid. And every single time there's been a run, they've done something to increase the float, to have their insiders sell shares, something to sort of put a quicker kibosh on whatever rally was happening. And I don't trust them not to do it this time around. So, you know, I don't think it's so bad to just get a few here and there. And if AMC, or sorry, if GME is going to go to hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a share, why wouldn't you want one, right? Let's say put one or two in the back pocket there and just hold on those suckers in case, you know, the board kills a rally for AMC. I don't think it's so bad. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but, you know, why not? BTW Brand, hear about the guy who fell in the Hawaii volcano the other day. He really wanted a good picture. That's what I heard. A 75-year-old guy climbed over the do not cross this line rope in the darkness of Volcano National Park. And there's just a giant caldera with, I don't know, 200 to 1,000 foot drop around the edge of the caldera to take some cool pictures of the lava lake that's forming in there. And I don't know if the sides gave way, if you took one step and just went over the edge, but they found him basically flat as a pancake, a couple hundred feet down. But man, what a way to go. Granted, if I were to die in a volcano, I would want to swan dive into the lava lake and end it that way, then like hit the rocks next to the lava lake. That's just not as cool as like Terminator 2ing your way down. But, you know, to each their own, I guess. My heart goes out to his family, but man, what a way to go. Sam Park. What's stopping hedge funds from shorting this stock down to $5 or when a lot of their out of the money puts get in the money? Seems like that's the case at this rate. I think what's stopping them is the fact that there's people who still only buy through lit exchanges. And that's the one thing, is that folks keep buying through lit exchanges and keeps the buy pressure up. If folks don't buy, they can short the hell out of this thing and bring it down. But as long as the buy to sell ratio is insanely on the side for the buyers, the price is really hard to drop to nothing. But even then, right, they drop the price a whole bunch, it's going to take billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of shares to short it down that far. And then they still have to close all that. And if they close all that, then the price goes right back up again. So yeah, so it's you know, you want to create billions more in liability, and then you got to buy it all up again anyway, and then now it's a quadrillion dollars in liability. I think that's the big thing that's stopping them from shorting it forever. And right, all those puts were sold naked. So if you drive the price down to 50 cents and all those puts trigger, then they have to go out and find the shares for those things, and you get a giant gamma squeeze anyway. So, because all those puts are not shares, they don't exist. You're gonna get a gamma one way or the other if that happens. Okay, where am I? I'm 8:24. Okay, I got a few, maybe 10 minutes left on the evening. It's been a fun 2 hours we got going on here. Nico Daru, give me coordinates and an eyeball. I think those are coordinates. Let's see if this works, because those are written a little funny. Google Earth, coordinates, Control V. I think I got to put a comma in there to make it work. Here we go. Everyone sent me to Canada. Oh, is this Sudbury? What is this one? It's one of the big Louis Babel. This is one of the big craters, isn't it? This is the one that's like 250 million years old. Yeah, Managuacuan crater. That's what I thought. One of the oldest known impact craters. Oh, you guys can't read that because it's for some reason only shows up as white. Managuacuan crater is an annular crater in Quebec. It's 214 million years old. It's a big crater. The Eye of Quebec. So, what do they know about the crater? May have been part of a multiple impact event. It was also formed the Rochart crater in France. So something went bam, bam, bam. And the St. Martin crater, Manitoba. Oblong crater in Ukraine, Red Ring crater in North Dakota, and Daybreak, Chicago. So similar event that happened in the Shoemaker Levy in 1994. So Shoemaker Levy comet broke up because of the Roche limit of Jupiter. So you get to a point with a big enough gravitational body that, you know, one end of that object is gravitationally closer to the center of mass, so it gets pulled slightly more than the other end. It sort of stretches them. It'd be like if I tied your feet to the bumper of one car and your hands to the bumper of the other car and I had them take off, and one of those cars just happened to be a Ferrari and one of those is a Geo Metro, the Ferrari is going to rip your body apart. That is the Roche limit. That's what happens. One part of you gets accelerated faster than the other part and you just get torn apart. That is very likely to happen for a big planet unless this object got torn apart, getting close to another planet or the sun at some point and broken up that way, and then gets machine guns the surface. But again, the Earth rotates once every 24 hours. So if you're having objects from France all the way to the Ukraine, or maybe from Ukraine through France to North America, that's something that got broken up a long time ago. It was like slap, Earth rotates, slap, Earth rotates, slap, the Earth rotates. That's like 12 hours of rotation of the Earth to be able to make a chain crater like that. Interesting theory, though. I haven't studied that too much. What do you think about that? The images of the Shoemaker Levy crashing into Jupiter are pretty cool. They basically made Earth-sized holes in the Jupiter atmosphere. We're talking like, 10,000 miles across. The holes that punched through the atmosphere as this comet impacted. It's really rad. I recommend checking out the pictures of that. Good spot, though. Good crater. J.K. in Houston. Sounds good, but market crash is good for hedgies. Most are short on the market, according to Gherkin. If they're smart, they are. If they're smart, they are definitely hedging those bets, and they're buying VIX. They're getting shorts on the SPY and things like that, or puts on the SPY, HYG puts, things like that to hedge against the market diving deep. Maybe buying gold, whatever. So that's, if they're smart, they're doing that. That being said, it still means that the price of GME is going to go up. That the value of their bonds are going to go down. So they might be able to get liquidity, but as assets under management will still temporarily shrink. Ted Tremendous. What would the SEC do if institutions and even banks were in on shorting GME to keep the price low because they effed up? I don't think the SEC will do anything if this squeeze never happens. If they manage to make it so the squeeze just doesn't happen and this stuff just goes on forever, the SEC will never do a thing about it. If the MOAS hits and they've got to spend trillions of dollars bailing all these guys out, and in the post-mortem they discover that the banks and the market makers and all those guys were in on it, that's when we'll have prosecutions. That's when we'll have new rules. That's when we'll have regulators stepping in to eyeball this stuff even more seriously. But it all depends on, will our opponent cave and die, or will our opponent manage to outlast us for some reason? And, again, all we can do is sit and wait. Watch our YouTube channels. Go on our YouTube channels. Argue with people on Twitter. Just wait it out. Buy and hold. At some point, someone's going to want their money. And they're going to have to close positions. Okay, we're 8:30. I'm gonna do another couple of questions here, and that'll be it for the evening. BTB brand, can you float an anvil on Mercury? If so, you'd look like that on lava. Well, that's true. That's true. But I'm talking about if you're coming from 1,000 feet up, there's probably enough force to make at least make a splash before you float to the surface, then burn away. That's true. Because man, that comes with the Scrooge McDuck diving into his cavern full of money and swimming around. He would just go splat because gold is 19 times heavier than the human body. So, just you're not going to make it, Scrooge McDuck. And plus, ducks float on water quite easily. They're definitely going to float on something that is 19 times heavier than water. Let's see here. What we got? Anything else? Any other ones here towards the end of the line here that I can talk about before we get done for the day? What we got here? People are telling people to move to Austin. I do not want to move to Texas. Have fun if you're moving to Texas, but that does not interest me at all. Oh, Project Sun reminded me, hit the like button. I figured it. Like and subscribe. Hit the little alert button. Is that it? Like, subscribe, hit the alert button. Tell your friends. Share. I don't know. Send the self-addressed envelopes to the P.O. box in the description, and I will send you a sticker. And when I run out of stickers, I will send you Valpak coupons or whatever weird stuff I've got lying around. I don't know. Baseball card, whatever. But that's what you'll get in return. Just a sticker. You can stick it on something. I might take one of these suckers and put it on a lift pole in Switzerland. How about that? People are like, you seem to have a problem. Slap right there on a lift pole. So there you go. Is that it for the day? Is that it? That might be it. Monkey Butt. Shall I uncover you for the end of the show? Yeah? Hi, buddy. Oh, you're such a good dog. You are such a good dog. All right, everyone. I'll see it sometime on Friday. I don't know if it's going to be early or if it's going to be late. It's basically my windows are like noon or midnight. So we'll see whatever it is on Friday. And I will leave you with the most important thing you've ever seen in your entire life, which is a bam.